Stop scrolling. Seriously. If you're collecting Social Security right now, or if you're getting close to retirement age, you need to hear what I'm about to tell you. Most people don't find out about this until they check their bank account, and something just doesn't look right. And by then, they're confused, they're frustrated, and in some cases, they're already behind. So, stay with me for a minute, because this is one of those videos that could genuinely save you hundreds, maybe even thousands, of dollars if you catch it in time. Here's what's happening. In 2026, there are real significant changes taking place inside the Social Security system. Some of them are good news, some of them are complicated, and some of them, if you're not paying attention, could actually catch you completely off guard. I'm going to walk you through all of it today, slowly, in plain English, so that by the time this video is over, you know exactly where you stand, what to look for, and what steps to take right now to protect yourself. And look, I know Social Security can feel overwhelming. There's a lot of official language, a lot of fine print, and, honestly, even the government's own website can be hard to navigate. So, I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to explain this like a real person talking to another real person. No jargon, no confusing formulas you need a calculator for. Just clear, honest information you can actually use. So let's get into it. Let's start with a little bit of background, because I think it helps to understand why these changes are happening in the first place. Social Security has been around since 1935. It was created as a safety net, a way to make sure that after a lifetime of working and paying into the system, Americans would have something to fall back on. And for tens of millions of people, it's not just something to fall back on, it's the primary source of income in retirement. We're talking about over 70 million Americans who currently receive Social Security benefits. That's not a small number. That's nearly 1 in 5 people in this country, depending on that monthly check to pay for groceries, utilities, rent, medications, the basics of life. Now, here's what a lot of people don't realize. Social Security isn't static. It changes. Every single year, the Social Security Administration, or the SSA, makes adjustments based on things like inflation, wage growth, and the overall financial health of the Social Security Trust Fund. And in 2026, several of those adjustments are landing at the same time. Some of them were planned years in advance, some of them are responding to economic pressures we've seen build up over the last couple of years. And taken together, they represent one of the more significant shifts retirees have seen in recent memory. So let's talk about the first big thing, the cost of living adjustment, which most people just call the COLA. If you've been getting Social Security for a while, you've probably heard this term. Every year, the SSA looks at inflation data and adjusts benefit amounts to try to keep up with the rising cost of living. It sounds great in theory, and when inflation spikes, those COLA increases can actually be meaningful. Back in 2023, people saw an 8.7% increase, the largest in about 40 years. That was directly tied to how fast prices were rising at the time. But here's where it gets complicated, and this is something I really want you to stay with me on. The 2026 COLA is smaller, noticeably smaller. We're looking at an adjustment that, while still positive, doesn't come close to matching what a lot of retirees are actually experiencing in their day-to-day expenses. And I know that might sound like a small technical detail, but think about what it actually means for a real person. If your Social Security check goes up by, let's say, 2.5%, but your grocery bill went up by 5%, and your prescription costs went up by 7%, and your rent or property taxes ticked up again, you're actually losing ground. Your check is technically bigger, but your purchasing power is smaller. That's the reality a lot of retirees are waking up to right now. And I want to be really honest with you here, because I think a lot of financial media glosses over this part. When the SSA announces a COLA increase, it often gets covered like it's a bonus, like it's a gift, but it's not. It's an attempt to keep up. And in years where inflation in the things retirees actually spend money on, health care, housing, food, runs hotter than the general inflation index, that adjustment can feel completely inadequate. So if you looked at your 2026 benefit statement and felt like something was off, you're not imagining things. Your check went up, yes, but whether it went up enough is a whole different question. Now let's take a step back, because I also want to talk about something that's affecting a specific group of retirees in a really big way. And this is actually good news for many people who have been waiting years for it. I'm talking about the Social Security Fairness Act. Now, this is something that quietly flew under the radar for a lot of people, but it's genuinely one of the most important Social Security changes in decades. Here's what happened. For a very long time, there were two provisions buried inside Social Security law called the Windfall Elimination Provision and the Government Pension Offset. Those are complicated names, so let me just explain what they actually did. Basically, if you were a public sector worker, a teacher, a firefighter, a police officer, a government employee, and you received a pension from a job that didn't pay into Social Security, those provisions could dramatically reduce your Social Security benefit, or, in some cases, eliminate it almost entirely. Millions of people spent their entire careers in public service, paid into Social Security through other jobs they held, and then got to retirement only to find out their benefit was being slashed because of these rules. A lot of them felt cheated, and honestly, a lot of them were. The Social Security Fairness Act, which was signed into law in early 2025, eliminated both of those provisions. Gone. And what that means for 2026 is that eligible retirees, we're talking about roughly 3 million people, are now receiving higher monthly benefits than they were before. Some people are seeing increases of hundreds of dollars per month. For a retired teacher in Ohio, or a former city worker in California who spent years getting a reduced check, this is enormous. Life-changing, actually. So, if you or someone you know worked in a public sector job and was affected by those old rules, I cannot stress this enough. Check your benefit amount right now. Log in to your SSA account. Call the Social Security Administration, because if your payment hasn't been updated yet, you may be owed back pay, and you need to make sure you're getting every dollar you're entitled to. And that brings me to something I want to emphasize, because this is where a lot of people leave money on the table. The SSA doesn't always automatically reach out to tell you that your benefit changed. They're a massive bureaucracy handling tens of millions of cases. Things fall through the cracks. So you have to be your own advocate here. You have to check. You have to log in at ESA.gov, create an account if you haven't already, and look at your My Social Security profile. It will show you your current benefit amount, your earnings history, and any updates to your account. This is free, it's secure, and honestly, it should be something every single person reading this does at least once a year. Not once every 5 years. Once a year, minimum. Okay, now let's talk about something that affects people who are still working and haven't claimed yet, because there's a change to the earnings limit in 2026 that I think a lot of people are missing. Here's the deal. If you're under full retirement age and you're already receiving Social Security benefits while still working, there's a cap on how much you can earn before the SSA starts temporarily reducing your benefit. That cap adjusts every year. In 2026, it's gone up, which is good news. It means you can earn a little more without having your benefit reduced. But here's what a lot of people don't realize. If your benefit gets reduced because you exceeded the earnings limit, you don't just lose that money forever. Once you hit full retirement age, the SSA recalculates your benefit and gives you credit for the months that were withheld. So it's not a permanent penalty. It's a temporary one. But you still need to plan around it, especially if you're working part-time in retirement and counting on that Social Security check to cover specific expenses every month. Now, I want to spend a few minutes on the full retirement age because there's still a lot of confusion about this, and I get questions about it constantly. Your full retirement age, the age at which you're entitled to your full, unreduced Social Security benefit, depends on when you were born. If you were born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is 67, not 65, not 66, 67. And this matters enormously, Because if you claim early, say at 62, which is the earliest you can claim, your benefit is permanently reduced. We're talking about a reduction of up to 30%. That's not a small number. On a $2,000 monthly benefit, that's $600 a month you're giving up forever. On the flip side, if you wait past your full retirement age, all the way to age 70, your benefit grows by about 8% per year. So someone who waits from 67 to 70 could see their monthly check grow by 24% compared to what they would have gotten at full retirement age. Now, I'm not telling you that waiting is always the right answer. It's not. If you have health issues, if you need the income now, if you have a spouse who depends on your benefit decisions in specific ways, all of that matters. But I am telling you that the decision of when to claim is one of the most consequential financial decisions you will ever make. And a lot of people make it without fully understanding the numbers. So if you haven't claimed yet and you're in that window between 62 and 70, please take some time, even an hour with a financial advisor or a benefits counselor, to really think through the timing. Here's something else I want to bring up, because it ties into the bigger picture of what's happening in 2026. There's been a lot of talk, and I mean a lot, about the long-term financial health of the Social Security Trust Fund. You've probably seen headlines that say things like, Social Security is going broke, or benefits could be cut by 2033. And I want to address this directly because I don't want you walking away from this video scared and panicked. Let me be really clear about what the reports actually say. The Social Security trustees publish an annual report on the financial status of the trust fund. And yes, the projections have consistently shown that if nothing changes legislatively, the trust fund could be depleted sometime in the early to mid-2030s. The current estimate hovers around 2033 or 2034. If that happened with no congressional action, benefits could potentially be reduced by about 20% across the board. Now, that would be bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But here's what I need you to understand. Congress has never, not once in the entire history of Social Security, allowed benefits to be cut like that without intervening. Social Security is politically untouchable in a way that very few programs are. Cutting it is career-ending for any politician who votes for it. So, while the funding issue is real and it needs to be addressed, the idea that your checks are just going to stop is not a realistic scenario. What is more realistic, and what you should be watching for, are incremental adjustments. Maybe small increases to the payroll tax, maybe modest adjustments to the benefit formula for higher earners, maybe changes to the earnings cap for Social Security taxes. These are the kinds of solutions that have been discussed for years, and some version of them will almost certainly be enacted before any crisis hits. Stay informed, pay attention to the news around this, but don't lose sleep over it. Now, I have to spend a moment on something that I think about every time I do a video like this: scams. Because any time there's news about Social Security changes, the scammers come out in force. And I mean every single time. Right now, people are reporting phone calls, text messages, and emails claiming to be from the Social Security Administration, telling them their benefits are being suspended, or that they need to verify their information, or that they're owed a refund and just need to provide their bank account details. I need you to hear this clearly. The Social Security Administration will almost never call you out of the blue. They communicate primarily by mail. If someone calls you and says they're from the SSA and your benefits are in jeopardy, hang up. Do not give them your Social Security number, your bank information, or any personal details. Call the real SSA directly at 1-800-772-1213 if you're worried about your account. Don't call back any number a suspicious caller gives you, and please share this warning with any older family members or friends who might be more vulnerable to these tactics. These scams are incredibly sophisticated right now, and they specifically target people around retirement age. Let's talk about what to actually do right now, because I don't want this to be one of those videos where you learn a bunch of things and then don't know what to do with the information. So here are the concrete steps I want you to take. First, go to SSA.gov and log into your My Social Security account. If you don't have one, create one. It takes about 10 minutes, and it gives you access to your full earnings record, your projected benefit amounts, and your current payment information. Second, if you ever worked in the public sector and had your benefit reduced under the old windfall elimination provision or government pension offset rules, contact the SSA directly and ask about your updated benefit amount. Don't assume it was automatically fixed. Verify it. Third, if you haven't claimed Social Security yet and you're approaching your window, seriously consider talking to a financial planner or a Social Security benefits counselor who can run the numbers for your specific situation. The timing decision is just too important to leave to guesswork. And fourth, and I say this with genuine care, talk to the people around you. Your spouse, your siblings, your friends who are around the same age. A lot of people are confused and embarrassed to admit they don't fully understand their benefits. But this stuff affects real lives, and a conversation today could make a real difference. One more thing I want to mention before I wrap up, because I think it's important context for everything we've talked about today. Social Security was never designed to be your only source of retirement income. It was always meant to be one piece of a larger picture, alongside personal savings, pensions, or other investment income. But the reality, as we all know, is that for a huge percentage of Americans, it ended up being most of the picture. People didn't save enough. Pensions disappeared, healthcare costs exploded, and so more and more retirees find themselves almost entirely dependent on that monthly check. That's not a judgment. It's just the truth about how retirement in America has evolved. And it means that every single dollar of that benefit matters. Every adjustment, every rule change, every deadline. It all has real consequences for real people trying to live with dignity in retirement. Which is exactly why it's worth taking the time to understand what's happening and to make sure you're getting every dollar you've earned. So here's where I'll leave you. The Social Security system is changing in 2026. Some of those changes are genuinely positive, especially for public sector workers who have been shortchanged for years. Some of them are complicated and require you to pay close attention to your own account. And some of them are warning signs that the long-term conversation about this program is only going to get more urgent in the years ahead. But you don't have to feel overwhelmed by any of that. You just have to stay informed, stay proactive, and take it one step at a time. Check your account, verify your benefit amount, know your full retirement age, understand the earnings limits, watch out for scams, and if something doesn't look right, don't just shrug it off. Make the call, send the letter, get the answer. Because nobody is going to advocate for you the way you can advocate for yourself. Don't leave money on the table. Don't let confusion cost you what you've spent a lifetime earning. Share this video with someone you care about who needs to hear it. A parent, a sibling, a friend who's about to retire and has no idea these changes are coming. And stay with me for more videos like this one, because this conversation is far from over. Take care of yourself, check that account today, and I'll see you in the next one.